Welcome again to Mystic Revolution. We are in season 5. We're at 53 episodes, which is kind of blows my mind. And we've got a great topic for you today, spiritual inclusivity. But before we dive in, let's do a little meditation. So go ahead and close your eyes and take a nice deep breath in and out. And just allow yourself to settle into yourself and allow yourself to have time to enjoy our talk and to engage in conversation if you like. And just let anything else, any extra stuff, just kind of melt away. And to help with that, you can envision a beautiful bright sun, source energy above you, and just let the rays of source just kind of wash over you. Just dissolving anything that is not serving you or distracting you. And then you can even bring some of that energy into you. Just let it pour into the top of your head, stream down into the top of your head. And you can bring a nice shot of it right into your heart space if you like, illuminating the heart. And then allowing this energy just to fill your body. Almost like you are a beautiful vase. You are a vessel, right? Filling you up, filling you up, filling you up. And allow yourself to see yourself, tune into the idea of yourself as a beautiful being of light, shining from the inside out. And then we can ground ourselves in that. Just taking a moment to notice the floor beneath us or the chair that's holding us. And go down even further, tuning into the earth below, knowing that it is always there to support us, to hold us. Hold us in our illumination, in our brightness. All right, one more nice deep breath in and out. And when you feel ready, you can open your eyes. You can stay in meditation if you like, but we welcome you to join us in this conversation. Love to see your comments below. So today we're talking about something called spiritual inclusivity, which was really an extension of our conversation from the previous 2 episodes, which was about spiritual bypassing. And Wendy and I both really feel that regardless of your beliefs, when you can allow yourself to hold your own belief and hold others and be inclusive, I mean, that really is part of the mystic path, and it can be so helpful in your own journey and also in supporting others. And I know, Wendy, you have some personal stories related to this, and I mean, if you feel comfortable, we'd love to have you just jump in.
So I just want to say something that we've talked about before. I think season 2 about energy mastery. We named several things like spiritual freedom, spiritual certainty, etc. And I'll just talk about certainty because it's obvious in this case. When I am in the vibration and practicing spiritual certainty, what I'm doing is what I perceive, what I experience is true for me.
Yeah.
which is very powerful. But there's a lot of people who speak in terms of certainty, but it's more of an intellectual certainty or like a personal human certainty.
Mhm.
And the way to tell the difference is, am I inviting everybody to that party? Am I asking you and whoever's in my field to own their own certainty and have their own information, which is different than mine?
Yes.
Always different than mine.
Yeah.
A lot or a little different than mine. Am I inviting others to certainty? That's spiritual certainty. If I'm just like, this is the truth, you got to buy it, that is human. That's what humans do.
Mhm.
I believe it, you got to believe it. So same thing with spiritual freedom. Am I willing to be in spiritual freedom? Great. Lots of people are like, I'm free, so you're in trouble. Like, no. Therefore, they are free.
Yeah.
They are free. And I think all of the spiritual blessings are can be very much gauged like that.
I so agree. I'm so glad that you mentioned those things. And I mean, to your point, I mean, it makes it freer for everyone. And right, even if we practice the same religion, our spiritual experience in that is can be radically different.
Radically different. Yes.
Radically different. And allowing for those differences creates an environment for more learning, for more growing, and then expand that out when people have very different belief systems or
Yes.
have different practices. And it's sort of the opposite of what we're seeing a lot about in the world right now, which is it's this way, or it's sort of my way or the highway, right?
Yes.
If
Yes.
you aren't in this camp, then you basically shouldn't exist, or you're right, or you're on the wrong path and you're doomed to hell, or you don't get it, or whatever. And what I think you're saying is that in spiritual certainty, there's zero need for that. Like it doesn't even come up when you are certain in yourself,
Yes, because I'm certain in myself. I'm
right?
my own experience. I don't need you to validate me,
No,
right? Like I have direct experience. It's my experience. It's real for me. End of story. And so I have all the room to
you have
invite you
all
to
the room.
your own certainty.
Yeah,
And even, one of the things, one of the things that we both do is that we do what might be called spiritual teaching or spiritual training or whatever you want to call it. But we're not telling people what to believe.
no,
We're not giving them these big whatevers on and on
no,
talking. What we're doing is saying, here's some tools for the inside. Here's some places to stand on the inside that we found have worked. How about you go stand on the inside and use some tools to like clean the windows or whatever and see what you see. What do you
yeah.
see?
What
It's
do you see?
so different than what people think of
It,
as spiritual teaching.
yeah, absolutely, absolutely. Now we're talking about spiritual certainty. I do want to acknowledge that you have like a bright source sun, like literally on the top of your head.
I
So
know. It's the sun. I'm like actually hiding from the sun in by the Wi-Fi in shade, and I didn't realize it was gonna be poking. It'll stop.
no, it's adorable. And
Really, it's just my halo. So those of you with spiritual sight can probably see my halo here, but I'm kidding.
yeah,
The divine is shining.
it
And that
really
it
is.
brings another part of this in our practice. We have it could be, we have other symbols too, but a lot we use the symbol of the sun for our source.
Yeah,
And when I'm reading and when I'm teaching, I'm encouraging everybody to notice that everyone's experience of source is different, a lot different, a little different.
yeah,
And that is like kind of mind blowing for people, but it's just like what we talked about. like when we have direct spiritual experience, it's going to be different every day. It's going to be different all the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes an ascended master will come looking like this or looking like that, or showing me this or showing me that. Doesn't matter. I notice their vibration. I take, if we know someone, doesn't matter if they show up dressed for Halloween looking different. We know who they are,
Yes.
right? That's the thing. And then we resonate with that, a particular master, we can resonate with that, but everybody's having a different experience, and that master is showing them something different.
Yeah.
And same with our divine experience, we call it the God of our heart, which means the God of our direct experience of oneness.
Yes.
That we're actually experiencing, and everybody's different about this. So that makes a practice and a language and a paradigm that makes it easy to not get caught on whether we call God he or she or genderless, or whether we call God, this name or that name, whatever. Or we don't believe in God. That's great too. Sacred love, sacred truth. We don't care, right?
Yeah.
What is you? We don't care at all.
Well, and I think, as I said at the end of the last episode, like, really, it's nobody's business. I mean, you can talk about it if you want, but at the end of the day,
Right.
the intrinsic nature of your beliefs and what's going on is not my business.
Yes.
And
And if it's God or gods, if it's, because that shows up too,
oh,
like in Hinduism
absolutely.
and all, and
And pagan.
yeah, and pagan. And also it allows so much room, which for something that I find is so important, which is our own iteration of our experience of the divine,
Yeah.
which is something that is often happening for mystics, and I hope is eventually happening for mystics, because we are changing. Just like we grow up and we see our parents differently.
Yeah.
You know.
We have our own spiritual experience. Our spiritual intelligence evolves over time, especially if we're a little bit more intentional about it. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think that's why, the idea of mystics really attracted me early on. I wasn't quite sure what it meant, but my own path really I was set on a path of exploration. I've explored and studied a lot of different religions, a lot of different belief systems, right? Like you, gone down paths that are pretty obscure, um, you know, really got into esoteric studies and the occult. And I'm so glad that I did that without any rigid idea of what was a true understanding of God, because ultimately, with all of these things, pagan, I've been doing pretty intensive studies in Druidism and Druid practice. What I found in all of these is that there's so much overlap. There's so
Yes.
much overlap. I don't care how different something seems.
Mm-hmm.
There is overlap, there's resonance, and the ultimate point is to find that like oneness and connection with source, whatever you call it, however you experience it. And it's I've learned, I'll stop talking to him about myself in just a minute, but I've
Please
learned
don't.
so much, not just about myself, but about other cultures, other,
Yes.
other people, other belief systems, and how they work and why they don't work, and how they shape countries. I mean,
Yes.
it's and the whole entire human experience, how these different belief systems have shaped history. I mean, if you're at all interested in any of this, like, having that openness and is so fascinating and helps you with your own spiritual certainty.
And along the way, that information that we get, we get history, we get how a particular religion or spiritual practice sees the world and relates to spirit, etc. it sometimes it's just information, but
Yeah.
sometimes then on the path, it's like, oh, I need that now. Oh, I'm validated by that now. Oh, I have this experience like these people did. Thank you. At least like I'm not the only one out here waving in the breeze like this.
Yeah.
Um, Also, there's been times for me where I've known I need the next step or I don't know, and I come upon it's not information, it's a vibration, it's direct spiritual help
Yeah.
through a different tradition.
Yeah.
And I mean, just the other day I turned on the 7 jewels of Tibetan Buddhism thing that it was recommended a long time ago, and I had my thing and turned it on, and I was just like, dude, it like just the guy talking the first like minute helped me shift to the next thing in my healing process. I was just like, whoa, that was good. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So
And, you know, we go back, I'm going back to our season on energy mastery. So much you can learn from other belief systems about how they handle certain situations, about
yes,
mastering energy within yourself and in the world.
yes,
And I guess that is scary to some people. The idea that there are ways that different traditions, I mean, I think of yogis, for instance, that can do fantastic things. The idea of that seems scary or not right. I mean, in some religious belief systems, I guess, or even if you get
yeah,
into some of the
definitely.
more esoteric and occult things, there are things like that. But it's literally understanding energy.
And opening to whatever we might call the divine,
Yeah,
or sacred truth or sacred love. It doesn't, that's the thing. It's like if we open the definition wider than usual, then we all get to play together as mystics.
yeah,
And we get to have the one way to say it is, we're each experiencing a different part of the elephant. It's a rope, but that's the tail. It's the ears, which are blah, 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 right? We can be like, oh, eventually we figure out it's an elephant because they're getting the side, which is like a wall, and otherwise kind of in the dark.
yeah,
But if we really allow everybody to be a different place, it brings more chance for enlightenment for all of us. And we can still keep our rituals that work for us, keep our spiritual communities that work for us,
yeah,
but and also come together as mystics and learn and support each other and create a place where everybody is welcome.
yeah. And I think, I mean, I know this is true for you because I've seen you in action. I think when you can hold this, hold that inclusivity, hold your uncertainty and be super inclusive, hold your certainty without any judgment or need for others. I mean, beyond, I mean, I know everything is spiritual, but beyond sort of the direct spiritual things, I mean, it just opens everything. It really does. And it helps create, I mean, a lot of people, obviously, we've been talking about inclusivity and equity and all of these things in our culture, lots of conversations around that. This absolutely is foundational, can be foundational to that,
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
and infuse and support initiatives that are like in the workplace or in government. I mean, I'm not saying go out and show up at a government meeting saying you're a mystic and this is what I think, or you could, but just the fact that you or others are in a space holding that kind of energy actually can have a ripple effect. I guess that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Yes, it really can. And
Yeah.
so can our choice to be what we're calling inclusive. This choice to
Yeah.
allow you to have your experience and me to have my experience. It ripples out. That's the idea. It makes so much more space
Mm-hmm.
for our direct spiritual experience to realize.
Direct experience. Yeah. To realize. And sort of in support of that, I'm going to say, when we allow ourselves to experience or look at or talk to with other people of these different belief systems or areas of study, it automatically takes the fear away. It automatically takes any us or them or any fear or uncertainty about them or their belief systems away. I mean, it just does, and it's not necessary anymore. So
yes. And
yeah.
I'd really like to talk about that and other things about spiritual inclusivity
After the break.
Thank you, We Are Historically, for your conscious human apparel. Shop online at wearehistorically.com.
Hey everyone, just a friendly reminder that on the first Tuesday of every month, we hold a Mystic Revolution meditation, and you're invited. Just go to our website and you'll find the link. We look forward to seeing you then.
Raise your vibration and energize your life with specialized Fibonacci tuning forks that deepen meditations and empower self-healing. Get your vibrational sound tools for personal enhancement at energybodytuners.com.
Welcome back from the break. We are talking about spiritual inclusivity. And Wendy, I know, has some stories and some experiences around that. So I'd love for you to share, Wendy, what you've got around this.
Well, I just want to start with some ideas, which are that we were talking about making it safe for everyone.
Yeah.
And it's not a comfortable idea for some religions to say we can be flexible about these very important ideas for some people. We learn in our training to take things lightly, to have neutrality, to have space for something new. And my belief is that religions come from what we're talking about. They come from mysticism. They come from direct experience. They come from doing in our soul, having experience in our soul, things that work for people. And then they develop, and some religions stay really open about stuff, and some become more rigid and say, this is how it is. Like we were saying in the beginning, my way or the highway, that is in our social patterns and our political patterns. It's also in our religious patterns, of my way or the highway. But that's not where it started. It started with like all this direct experience.
Yeah.
And my experiences with the Bible, so I will say, the Christian Bible, that it's just story after story of people's direct experience with the divine. That's what the book is about. Like, if you take away all the visions, all the dreams, all the direct experience, it's got like 70% is like that. It leaves almost nothing, at least 70%.
Well, I think that goes to show, right? I mean, what different groups determine meaning often, and often our own, what's going on in ourselves determines meaning. Like we glean what sort of validates what's going on. So if I'm super fearful and I really am trying to find my North Star, and I might take something extremely literally. I mean, I was having a conversation with someone at a gathering, and I actually started talking about psychic experiences, and they looked they were taken aback, sort of appalled. And I was speaking in really sort of general terms, nothing, I don't even know if I said psychic specifically. And what this person said, you have to understand, I abide by scripture. And I'm like, cool. I respect that. That's right. That's awesome. And I have something different going on. And it doesn't mean we can't have a conversation, it really doesn't.
Right. And we could go into scripture says blah 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 blah. But I think the more important thing in this conversation is one of the things I wanted to talk about, which is this whole idea that it's called boundaries.
Yeah,
There's
exactly.
this I thou, And
Mhm.
I have an experience, you know, and you have an experience, and that has to be okay.
Mhm.
If that's not okay, then it's just control
Yeah.
and authoritarian thinking. You know, that just along with the artists, the mystics, and the intellectuals just get all, you know, goodbye. But if we want to play in spiritual freedom, if we want to be mystics, then really honoring you have a lane and I have a lane, even if I don't like it. Like,
Yeah.
you have your own lane. And that's something that it requires a certain level of soul maturity
Yeah.
to allow, and that's what we're dealing with there, I
Yeah.
think.
I agree with you. We can allow people to have their own belief systems and we can have ours. And, you know, like this person that I was speaking to, like, I think they might have even brought up sort of the subject of mysticism, but at a certain point, it wasn't comfortable for them. So
Right.
that's great. We don't have to talk about it anymore.
Right.
I don't care. Let's talk about something else then. Or, you
Right.
know, you don't have to talk to me. That's okay. That's fine. And the thing about it is you can start sensing this
Yeah.
too, and you can redirect whatever you're doing.
Yeah. Yeah. It's one of my things.
That said, if this person had been open, I would have loved to have picked their brain
Right.
about their understanding of things, right? I mean, that would have been delightful and fun, and I'm sure I would have learned a lot. So
Right. There's a lot because what I said about the Bible being full of these visions and dreams and all this stuff, there's this, well, you can't control that if you let that keep going. Let's just be
I
real.
see.
You can't control it. So, like, there's this story, oh, that was for then, that was the special times. And
Right.
now, and my favorite Christian minister, Dr. Bruce Morgan, used to love to say, God did not get laryngitis 2,000 years ago. Come on, like all this stuff they've got going on, we have it going on. And are we willing to play with it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that leads to what I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about every day, not the special ones, not the famous ones, everyday modern, like us, not old dead people. Everyday modern mystics is what I'm excited about. We're, you know, we're real, we're sometimes queer, get used to it. You know, it's like we're here just like we've always been here.
Yeah.
And we're saying things outside the box like we've always been saying outside the box.
Yeah.
And I mean, it's so fascinating for me. There's some like Christian mystic groups on Facebook, like they're led with an iron rod, like heaven forbid you don't say something just into their pictures, like you're out. But that's the difference, inclusivity, not inclusivity.
Yeah.
So if it's one person is the determiner of what is acceptable, that's the whole conversation we're having.
Yeah.
Then everything gets shut down.
Yeah.
And it turns into an us and them game, which is what we started the conversation with. We're in this huge time of us and them. Lots of things are pushing us to be more us and them. And we're saying us. There's no them, us. And from my perspective, we can't play the oneness game. We can't play the love game. We can't play I would say we can't play the dance with the divine game if we're going to play us and them. We got to choose. It's like, because if we're in oneness, then everyone's in oneness together, it seems to me.
Yeah.
Whereas us and them, it's like, okay, well, Michael and I are always joking, like when something goes our way, well, God likes me. Why was that happen? God likes me better. You know, it's like, we're over here, God likes us better. I don't know about you guys. You're not making it in. So, I mean, it's just crazy, right?
It's crazy. It is crazy.
Yeah.
The divine likes me better or likes us better, and you aren't in. I mean,
You're not in.
I
you.
understand, and as we're talking about inclusivity, I understand where that comes from. Absolutely. Absolutely. And we can hold that and let that be a thing and include that. We can still include it, right? As a mystic. That's a thing. People not being inclusive.
Because if we eschew it, then
They're part of the one too, right?
everyone,
Yep.
everyone. And so everybody gets a place at the table in our
Yeah.
world.
Yeah.
So hello, everybody. Welcome to our world. You are welcome. We want to hear from you. Wherever you come from, whatever your background, whatever your religion or spiritual practice.
Absolutely.
Welcome.
Welcome, welcome. Well, I think we're coming near the end of the episode. Are there any last things that you want to say, Wendy, before we close?
I think I can let it be done. Let it be done. But just know there's more. See you next time.
All right. So we will close for now. But before we say goodbye, let's just do a little meditation out. Go ahead and close your eyes. And as with any and every episode, allow yourself to take in what resonates and leave the rest behind. Dissolve away anything that doesn't sit with you, or put it in your back pocket to sort of chew on or revisit later. And let yourself drop into your own heart. And you can allow your own understanding of the divine come into your own heart. And you can allow your own experience of connecting with the heart of the earth or connecting with the earth ground you. Be your own. You get to own your experience. You get to own your spiritual experience, your mystic experience. You get to choose at any and every step what works best for you, what helps you feel connected and loved and included. So let's take a nice deep breath in and exhale out. And we look forward to seeing you next time on Mystic Revolution.
Thanks so much for playing with us. Please support Mystic Revolution by liking and sharing our show.
And sign up to get notified when new content is available. We really appreciate it.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us. Have a happy always.
Join us for our monthly Mystic Meditation on the first Tuesday of the month at 4:30 p.m. Pacific Time.
Click on the link in the description to get more information and join the Mystic Revolution.